Books review on Vladimir Putin, guided by Moshe Jessen's book The Man Without a Face, The Unlikely Rise of Vladimir Putin. This narrative unfolds in the late 1990s, a time when Russia was transitioning from Soviet rule and grappling with democracy. Boris Yeltsin, the president at the time, surrounded himself with a close group known as the family, who sought to protect their interests amid chaos. They selected Putin, a low-profile KGB operative, as a controllable figure to safeguard their power. Initially, Putin projected an image of stability and garnered international support as a reform-minded leader. However, Jessen reveals a darker reality. Putin's ascent was marked by a systematic dismantling of democratic institutions. He tightened media control, suppressed dissent, and neutralized opposition through intimidation and violence. This gradual erosion of democracy painted him as the man without a face, reflecting his carefully crafted public persona that obscured his true intentions. Jessen's first-hand experiences in Moscow during this transformation provide chilling insights into the growing fear within Russian society as Putin consolidated power. His KGB background shaped his leadership style, instilling values of secrecy and manipulation that became hallmarks of his governance. Ultimately, Putin's rise illustrates how he evolved from a perceived puppet to a formidable autocrat, reshaping Russia's political landscape. Putin's worldview can be likened to a chessboard, characterized by strategy and deception, which helps explain his audacious moves that often leave the world stunned. Jessen compellingly argues that Putin's KGB background profoundly influences his approach to power, transforming him from an unremarkable operative into the president orchestrating the dismantling of democratic institutions. This shift from a budding democracy to authoritarianism has had dire consequences for everyday Russians. Jessen contrasts the early optimism under Yeltsin with the fear and repression that emerged under Putin. Personal freedoms eroded, dissent was stifled, and a culture of fear took hold, leaving many afraid to voice their discontent. Jessen recounts the fates of journalists and political opponents who face silencing, imprisonment, or exile, highlighting the human costs of Putin's regime economically. Jessen explores the rise of oligarchs during Russia's chaotic privatization in the 1990s, where state assets were sold off at bargain prices to a few well-connected individuals. While Putin was not part of this initial power grab, he recognized the need to control these oligarchs to consolidate his power. Through a mix of coercion and co-optation, he made it clear that those who aligned with him would be rewarded, while dissenters faced severe repercussions. The case of Mikhail Khodorkovsky illustrates the risks of challenging Putin's authority, as he spent a decade in prison after opposing him. Under Putin, wealth and power have become increasingly concentrated, reflecting a complex interplay of politics and economics in Russia. While he has fostered a degree of economic growth and stability, this has come at the cost of curtailed freedoms and silenced voices. Many Russians seem willing to accept this exchange, prioritizing national pride and stability over individual rights, which challenges common assumptions about what people valued. Jessen's analysis reveals that Putin has skillfully tapped into Russian nationalism, positioning himself as the leader who would restore Russia's greatness after the perceived humiliation following the Soviet Union's collapse. The economic landscape under Putin is marked by a concentration of wealth among elites, while ordinary citizens face challenges such as inflation and limited opportunities. Despite some economic benefits from military enlistment and wartime industries, dissatisfaction with living standards persists. The regime's repression has created an environment where dissent is dangerous, leading to widespread apathy among the populace. Many Russians equate their identity with the state, supporting its actions out of a sense of duty rather than genuine approval. Overall, Jessen emphasizes that understanding Putin's impact on Russia requires recognizing the interplay between political repression, economic realities, and deeply ingrained national sentiments. NATO's eastward expansion has been a significant source of tension between Russia and the West, with Putin using it to justify military buildups and assertive foreign policies. He frames Russia as surrounded by enemies, reinforcing his narrative among supporters. This geopolitical rivalry is dangerous, particularly evident in the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, which highlights the humanitarian crisis and regional instability stemming from these tensions. Putin's worldview, shaped by his KGB past, embodies a zero-sum mentality where gains for the West are perceived as losses for Russia. This perspective fosters a mindset of perpetual struggle, hindering cooperation and trust-building necessary for addressing global challenges like climate change and poverty. Jessen argues that breaking this cycle requires a pragmatic approach to engage with Putin, recognizing his motivations without condoning his actions. Effective engagement must balance standing up for democratic values while acknowledging the complexities of international relations with a figure resistant to compromise. Navigating relations with a leader like Putin is a complex balancing act for the West, which is debated between hardline containment and conciliatory approaches, especially amid the ongoing war in Ukraine. This situation underscores the lack of simple solutions in international relations. Understanding Putin's past, motivations, and methods is crucial for effectively engaging in this geopolitical landscape. Jessen emphasizes the importance of moving beyond simplistic good versus evil narratives to grasp the complexities of interests and historical contexts. She provides a roadmap for informed decision-making, equipping us with insights into the motivations of key players to foster a more stable and peaceful world. Putin's regime instills a pervasive culture of self-censorship, where fear stifles dissent and creativity. Jessen vividly illustrates this climate through personal accounts of individuals who face severe consequences for speaking out, highlighting the high stakes involved in challenging authority. Her experiences as a journalist in Moscow further emphasize the dangers of reporting truthfully under an authoritarian regime, reminding us of the courage required to confront power. Moshe Jessen continues to write and bear witness to the realities under Putin's regime, becoming a vital voice for those silenced. Her work illuminates the truths that Putin seeks to conceal, reminding those in democratic societies not to take their freedoms for granted. Jessen's book serves as a powerful warning about the gradual erosion of democracy, emphasizing that freedoms like speech and assembly are fragile and must be defended. Key takeaways from Jessen's insights include recognizing Putin as a complex figure rather than a one-dimensional villain. Understanding his motivations and methods is essential for navigating the challenges he presents. Jessen provides a deeper understanding of authoritarianism, illustrating how power is consolidated and dissent is suppressed, lessons applicable beyond Russia to global threats against democracy.